Welcome back to another OBR weekly shooting drill. This week we're going to an intermediate or blue level, and this one's going to be shooting a rifle with a barricade. Now the barricade we're using is the standard FVTAC barricade. There's a lot of videos online that go over the barricade and some of the uses of it. And what we're going to cover today is some of those things, but we're also going to cover really closely just looking at your hand position, your knee, your foot position, things like that, when you're doing the barricade shooting. And we're going to try and show you from a couple different angles of what it looks like, say from the threat standpoint, but then what it looks like from the side. Because you might think you're doing the right thing, but if you've never actually looked at it or had anybody look at it from the threat side, you might realize, oh wow, I'm exposing my whole body, or that doesn't look very comfortable. And so, as always with OBR, we want you to come in here and test these things out, because the big thing is that you fall to your level of training. And if your level of training is 0 because you never do it, you're not going to perform very well when the situation calls for it. So we want you to come in and train that and practice that, and that way if you do have a situation, again, like we always say, it's not foreign to you. So with this drill, we're going to use the standard rifle, and we're going to use the FVTAC wall. At the same time, I'm not going to show you the targets. The targets really aren't important. It doesn't matter. You can use whatever target you want. A standard bullseye, silhouette, a steel plate, doesn't really matter. And even the distance really isn't that important. The important part here is the muscle memory of moving from point to point within the FVTAC wall. And we're going to do it slowly so you can see this. The FVTAC wall is something you can build at home pretty inexpensively. You can get 2 walls out of a sheet of plywood. And so for realistically $50, $100, you can make yourself a FVTAC wall easily. And then set that up in your garage and just go out there with your rifle and just maneuver around a little bit. And we're going to cover some of the mistakes people tend to make and shooting around this, but you're going to be able to see that difference.
So I've removed the sling for the clarity on this, and that'll just make it a little bit easier. I'm going to go ahead and compress the buttstock because that's what I prefer. I know a lot of people like to have it fully extended, but I like to have mine a little bit more on the compact side. You'll also notice that I tend to have a little bit of a different grip. I had to grab real low here versus the C grip. Again, I've talked about this before, and I've worked with Michael on this, and I'm trying to change my shooting a little bit to be able to do that. But for now, I'm still regressing back to my training. And so, as I always say, you fall back to your lowest level of training. So at this point, we're going to do it this way. Now, that being said, again, the target itself doesn't really matter. We're going to go over your hand positions on the stand, and you're going to be able to see kind of the different positions. So for one thing, if you're doing a FVTAC wall like this, you have different boxes, different holes in here that you're going to use. And what you'll see a lot of people do, and this is really difficult for a lot of reasons, but you'll see a lot of people as they come into the hole here, when they come back, you'll be able to see them lean their whole body back, move down, lean their whole body in. And that's an added step to move your whole body around. And especially somebody like myself that's 250 pounds, it's a lot of weight to be moving, a lot of wasted steps. So what you really want to do, if you get it in there to bring it out, break the rifle, move the rifle to the next position. Break it over your shoulder, drop down, move it to the next position. Same thing, just keep breaking that over your shoulder. And you can see from the camera over here, my body never really moves. I'm able to go wherever I need and push it versus stepping back and then up. And you can see my body moving in this situation. So the first thing we're going to cover is just stepping around the barrier itself. So, once again, you could be behind the barrier completely, which you should be. When you step out, you have, at this point, the option of leaning your body out. But what happens, and you can see, if you're not careful, you're going to bang the end of that wall. So you want to break it a little bit and then step in and then extend that out to make your shot. And you can see here, all my weight's on my left leg, and I'm making my shot. For me, I was taught just to rest it against the wall. but you can also clamp it against the wall so you know it's not moving. On fire, take your shot. Back to safe. Moving to the left side of the barrier, you're making a C with your hand and you're just clamping the rifle. And I know that some people are going to make the comment that I don't like that C grip, that for me it would have to be here. Well, again, this is all part of how you train. As I come around, my body just naturally extends to get to that, to support and take that shot. Now, I'm going to move over to the right-hand side, and the concept is still pretty much the same on the right-hand side. As you can see, my hand is going to go on the wall, and I can rest the rifle on it, or I can just pin my hand against the wall, take my shot, and I've got the rifle and everything pinned against this wall, and I can keep taking my shot and stay steady. Again, if I have to move from this position down to, say, a kneeling, I don't want to come all the way back with my body and lean back to avoid that. All I want to do here, my body stays stationary, break the rifle, back up, take my shot. Now, something you don't see a lot of, I'm going to cover it left-handed. Again, I'm right-handed, but one of the things that I practice all the time is shooting with my weak hand. So I'm going to cover this left-handed. It's actually a little easier left-handed with the wall like this. So for a lefty, and on this particular rifle, I have ambidextrous safety. So I can flip it on this side, or I can flip it on the opposite side. So coming around on this side, I'm going to grab the wall with my hand, support the rifle, and pin that against the wall. And make sure, obviously, I don't want to have my hand way up and block my own sights. I got a nice tight grip on here, tight grip on the wall. Come around, flip it on fire, take my shot. Back to safe. Going to the left side, excuse me, the right side, pretty much the same as you would on the left. The difference is I'm able to grab the wall completely, wrap my hand around the front of the rifle, flip it to fire, take my shot. And I've got the rifle supported with my right hand in this case. But the concept is still the same if I have to move positions. Break the rifle, drop down, come in, fire, take my shot. Now, something else of importance with using barricades is the kneeling side of it. Is you think, oh, I just dropped to a knee. It doesn't matter. There's a little bit more to it than that. And I'll show you, especially from this view. For instance, if I decide to drop to my right knee, in order for me to get around this, look how much of my leg and body have to be exposed to get around this to make this shot. Now, if that's the way you have to do it, that's the way you have to do it. But you can see, if I switch knees, as I come around, and I can turn this all the way, I don't have to keep square. I can tilt the rifle as long as my body tilts. And then I can come in here, take my shot here. Again, break my rifle. I can slide over, take my shot here. Break my rifle. Okay, once again, I'm doing the rifle. I'm not moving my entire body. As I said earlier, trying to move 250 pounds, basic laws of inertia. Now, one of the last things I'll cover is shooting inside these cutouts here. They are just the right size to where this barely fits. And if you look on the camera here, you can see that it barely fits. It actually doesn't go any farther because the sling holes are blocking it. So in this case, if I'm coming up to this, I don't want to get to it and jam into here and then have to turn. I want to actually already have my weapon turned to match. So as I step in, it slides right in. And if I can get my hand here and use my hand to guide it, that's even better. And then I can take my shot. And you can see I just kind of squat myself down to be able to line everything up. I'm not bending over. You can do where you lean in like this, and that's okay too, where your body is flexed at the hip. But me personally, my legs are strong enough, as long as I know I'm not taking, hundreds of shots. I like to squat and get a good solid base. So along the side here. And you can see I've got the wall supported with the rifle, holding it right here, take my shot. And then if I have to move, once again, break that rifle, come up, and I can squat down here, take my shot, back on safe. And if I have to kneel, again, break the rifle, the body doesn't really move its plane, drop down to a knee, fire, take my shot. So this is just a basic coverage of using a rifle around a barricade. As we've covered before with CQB, room entry, other things, the rifle is a lot more difficult. And again, I keep my stock compressed so it makes it easier to break the rifle and move. But you know, if you extend that out farther, then your body is going to be even farther away from there. But it's not wrong. It's just something you have to practice and figure out what works for you. I do have a friend that came in. He was always having an extended stock. After I did a few times with him with the shortened stock, he actually enjoys the shortened stock now. Now, that being said, if we're trying to shoot at 300 yards, yeah, I'll extend it. You know, I cheat. But for any type of tight quarters, moving around barricades, I really like that shortened stock. If you can get a shortened barrel, even go with a shorter barrel, you know, because again, the whole point is you've got to move around. So I hope this really helps you to become a much better shooter in the future. And along with being a better shooter, a more efficient shooter, you know, I hope you're really coming in here and taking this serious. I really would like comments and, you know, give some comments on things you think are good or bad, and we'll take a look at it if it's something that we think we need to change, because again, I get joked at all the time that I'm old school, but you know, just because it's old school doesn't mean it's wrong. But at the same time, just because you've always done it that way doesn't mean it's right either. So, you know, I want people to give the comments, and I want people to come in here and show me different ways, and let's work on it, and let's get this better, and let's make everybody a better, a safer, a more efficient shooter.